So James, we got a request from our Facebook group asking what is Sahaja Samadhi and how is it related to moksha? Can you attain moksha without Sahaja Samadhi?
Can you attain moksha with sahaja samadhi? Well, with these Sanskrit words, you need to know what the meaning of the word is. People just talk sahaja samadhi or nirvikalpa samadhi or savikalpa samadhi, and they don't know what it means. The word sahaja means natural or continuous. So that samadhi is not a particular samadhi, except in the sense that it's your own nature. In other words, you're always in nirvikalpa, in sahaja samadhi. That means what? In is not the right word either. When we say you're in a samadhi, it implies duality. But sahaja samadhi is the continuous natural state of every living being. It's the self experiencing itself without mental distraction or turbulence. Now, you're always in sahaja samadhi. Samadhi means equal value. D is a contracted form of buddhi, which means intellect, and sama means equal. So it means you're in a state, experiential state, where you don't see the difference, where you see no difference between objects. You know that there's a difference projected by Maya, but you see that all objects have equal value. And that's the normal or natural state of a human being or of an enlightened being. Now, this samadhi is not something you do. This samadhi is something that you are. It's going on all the time. Savikalpa samadhi is a state with thoughts. Now, what does that mean? That means there you're experiencing yourself and seeing everything equally, because everything is consciousness. But that samadhi is produced by an action, by a karma, something. It's a state like when you go to a satsang, for instance, or when you meditate. You enter into this state where you feel peaceful, calm, full, complete, whole, happy, non-attached, and so forth. But there are thoughts appearing in that samadhi. And then that samadhi will end. When the mind becomes extroverted again, then the attention goes away from the self and the samadhi ends. So in nirvikalpa samadhi, there's a complete absence of objects. And that's a state that's produced by action, or that just happens accidentally as a kind of epiphany, where the self is only present alone, experiencing itself for a short time, maybe even a second or two, and then what? And then the mind comes back, the world is projected, and you enter into a state of duality again. So nirvikalpa samadhi is basically just knowledge. It's knowing who you are all the time. Now that knowledge is not something that requires effort either. In other words, when that knowledge is firm, you see that you're experiencing yourself all the time, and that is a continuous natural experience, and no effort is required for it. That's the goal of of moksha. In fact, that is moksha. There's no difference between moksha and sahaja samadhi.
The question also focuses on the issue of experience versus knowledge, doesn't it?
Yeah, because, see, it depends upon who you are. Most people think that that the samadhi is a special state
For the
for the
individual.
jiva. That's right. From the jiva's point of view, that the jiva needs to get these different samadhis, these different experiences, discrete experiences, to be happy. But this is not a samadhi you can attain by an action, because it's a samadhi that's always there, always present. Even when you're highly agitated, behind that agitation, just behind that agitation, you're experiencing bliss or wholeness or completeness. And sometimes when that agitation goes, you immediately fall back into yourself. You feel good again. Well, that's just because what? There was nothing distracting you from your natural state. So, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, or Sahaja Samadhi, is not necessary for moksha, it is moksha. Now, what is moksha? Moksha is just the removal of the beliefs and opinions, the thoughts and ideas you have about who you are.
Yeah, who obscure you. Who
Yeah, that's right, who obscure your nature from yourself. Now, this is a difficult, the reason Vedanta is not a terribly popular path is because it points out the fact that you're always experiencing yourself. And how are you always experiencing yourself? In the form of the I. When you say the word I, that I is the self. If you think it's a jiva, then you don't experience the fullness and completeness, you experience duality. But Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then you experience, quote-unquote, non-duality. In other words, you experience no separation between the subject and the object. You know, however, that the object depends upon the subject, but you, the subject, don't depend upon any objects. That's why it's called moksha. That's why this Sahaja Samadhi is called moksha. Because there's freedom from dependence on object, which is what we define in Vedanta as moksha. Okay?
Okay, thank you, James.
You bet.